N-W-O. Hello, my fellow Marks, and welcome to the Remark, the show that likes to remind you that last year Flo Rida had more TV time than Zack Ryder. I'm your host, Martin, and I'm doing a silly voice. But enough about me, let's find out what happened this week in the world of super violent soap operas. This week on John Cena and Chums, we started things off with Brock Lesnar and Paul E. dangerously close to out-promoing everybody, coming down to the ring. Mr. Lesnar was throwing a temper tantrum because last week a professional wrestler attempted to professionally wrestle with him. The nerve! Brock threatened to fight with everybody until everybody stopped fighting with him. Triple H then came down and tried to comfort Brock by giving him his blankie and singing a lullaby. But then that little rascal Seth Rollins interrupted matters with his awful chicken impression. Brock. Needs a bit of work, Seth. Then the default creator wrestler from any given WWE game came out. Oh wait, that's John Cena, sorry. Regaling us with some of his trademark witticisms.
Triple H and Stephanie aren't the authority. They're the world's biggest ashholes.
Woo, teacher, he said a bad word, except he didn't really say a bad word, so it's funny. Woo. John Wiener. Teacher, he said the word wiener instead of Cena. Then proceeded to defy Triple H by insisting that if he won at the Royal Rumble, then Eric Rowan, Ryback, and Dirk Diggler would get their jobs back. Triple H wasn't having any of that, but he did offer John Wiener the chance to wrestle in the Raw main event. And if he won, then he would give them their jobs back. I think it's extremely good storytelling on behalf of the WWE creative team to take three superstars who are being underutilized, take them off TV, and then make everything related to John Cena. Why not just have John Cena wrestle on behalf of everybody? John Cena wins the Royal Rumble and then goes on to face John Cena at WrestleMania. Whoever wins, John Cena wins. It's win-win! And John Cena. So everybody wins. Except for the people that aren't John Cena. And do they really matter? No. Speaking of people who aren't John Cena, Michael Cole talked at us for about half an hour about how to download the WWE app to your phone. This remarkable little app allows you to distract yourself from watching the actual product by asking you to vote on such inconsequential subjects as, who do you think will win this match? What kind of match should the main event be? And what is Big Show's favorite type of pudding? Please post your own answers in the comments. Bray Wyatt came to the ring while the fans waved their cell phones at him, clearly quite baffled by Michael Cole's instructions on how to download the WWE app. Bray wrestled Daniel Bryan in his first match back on Raw, only to be interrupted by Corporate Kane, a man whose tragic past had left him brutally scarred with a shit gimmick. Booker T mentioned that he hopes the referee knows when to stop the match. Yes, Booker. I also hope that the referee knows how wrestling works, and that he didn't just put on a striped shirt and wander blindly into the ring. I also hope that the referee knows how to count to 3. Booker T there asking the real questions, such as what kind of pudding does Big Show like? Answers in the comments, please. Meanwhile, Ryback, Ziggler, and Rowan are busy tweeting from their couches at home, instead of being dropped on their necks multiple times for the amusement of assholes everywhere. Those poor bastards. Meanwhile, it's a Raw reunion as Triple H meets up with Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, who remind everybody that they used to be a bunch of arrogant dicks, but now they're just a bunch of arrogant retired dicks. Then Mizdow did an impression of X-Pac, gaining the biggest reaction of X-Pac's career. Then the real X-Pac showed up, and things just got very quiet all of a sudden. It's time for yet another non-wrestling segment. Thank God, a break from the high-octane pace of this intense wrestling show. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and everyone's favorite senile old man, Grandpa Terry, showed up to give their predictions on who would win the Royal Rumble. Ric Flair said the word woo a lot, Shawn Michaels said things that sounded like they were supposed to be funny, and good old Grandpa Terry thrashed about violently while spewing foam from his mouth, ranting about Martians from the planet X trying to take his brain. That balmy old coot. For a refreshing change, Big Show came out and explained that he was angry about things things, and that he was going to win the Royal Rumble despite the things that he was angry about. Big Show then threatened to give everyone a preview of the Royal Rumble, which just goes to show that even the superstars know the pay-per-view is going to suck ash. Big Show then proceeded to knock out Ric Flair, which is alright because Ric Flair had been declared brain dead about 5 seconds into the segment. Roman Reigns came to the aid of the three retired gentlemen. Thank God, I was so worried that Roman Reigns was going to speak. He didn't this time. Dodged a bullet there. Also, it's nice of him to save Grandpa Terry. Poor crazy old Grandpa Terry. Guy's off his rocker. It turns out that the WWE Universe voted yes on the main event having actual consequences. I'm just as shocked as you are. Remember the Intercontinental title? Turns out it was on Bad News Barrett's waist the whole time. Who would have thought? I mean, come on, the last place you'd think to look. Bloody hell. Then there was a 5-hour video package that told us about the minute details of the Royal Rumble match, informing us of important statistics such as how many times has Kofi Kingston become a one-man Cirque du Soleil show? How badly did they fuck up the ending to the 1994 Royal Rumble? And what kind of pudding will Big Show eat before the pay-per-view? In the comments, please. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd are teaming up for some inexplicable reason. They went up against the New Day, who proclaimed on the way to the ring that they act so happy because if they don't, they'll go crazy and kill everybody. That's actually what they said. Also, Adam Rose! Adam Rose! Adam Rose! The NWO came out to the ring to celebrate 5 straight days of Kevin Nash not fucking up and injuring himself. Unfortunately for him, he then proceeded to injure himself while fucking up the WWE's name.
Which you can relive on the WWE Network.
Nasty. The NWO took credit for the WWE's success, since their gimmick forced Vince McMahon to respond to their dull, repetitive storyline with actual content. X-Pac then gargled into the microphone.
Dallas, Texas, raise some hell! And make a little noise!
That's some good hygiene there, Mr. Waltman. The Ascension came out and had some choice words for the NWO.
We were born and bred to rip and shred!
Not rhyming words. The most disrespectful thing a person can do to another person. Rhyming. That Dr. Seuss was a son of a bitch. Then JBL reformed the APA at the behest of the NWO, while the NAO came back to the WWE and made the Ascension go AWOL. More like Ashcension, am I right? Triple H and Stephanie McMahon announced that John Cena would be facing Kane, Big Show, and J.K. Rowling in the main event. This was accompanied by a hilarious joke involving a drum roll. It went a little something like this. This was the actual joke. I received a lot of complaints about the Remark last week because I didn't give the women wrestlers the proper respect. I would like to sincerely apologize for my actions. It was deeply wrong of me to call them women. The correct term is divas. Nothing disrespectful about that. So yes, there was a women's match this week between Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, and oh shit! R-Truth made his successful return to television by facing off... Never mind, he tapped out before I could finish explaining it. Brock Lesnar bumped into Seth Rollins backstage, and there was a tense moment where something almost happened. But fortunately for Seth, Brock has that whole "don't do anything ever" clause in his contract. Dodged another bullet. The Miz took on one or more of the Usos, during which Mizdow somehow outperformed him by wrestling himself outside the ring. You know you're a good heel when a guy who is doing the same exact thing as you is getting a better response. Crazy old Grandpa Terry was at it again! Somehow he got hold of a microphone backstage and started rambling for about 20 minutes about the fortress of dominoes that he had in his yard back home, and how the communists weren't going to get him this time. Good for you, Grandpa Terry. Keep on keeping on. John Cena finally faced off against the triple threat of Big Show, Seth Rollins, and Kane. It looked as though the odds were stacked against John Cena, but as we all know, he's John Cena. So even when the odds are stacked against him, the odds are somehow still in his favor. Sting showed up and shocked everybody by pointing vaguely at something. Well, at least he didn't say words that rhyme. That would have been too intense. As Raw went off the air, Brock Lesnar ran down to the ring and started aggressively advertising for Jimmy John's. Moving on to Smackdown. We kick things off with the return of Eric Rowan, Ryback, and Badass Billy Gunn's protege, Dolph, perpetually on the cusp of actually achieving something, Ziggler. Everyone talked about how happy they were to be back in the WWE, and then Eric Rowan got on the mic and paused for about 5 hours between sentence fragments.
Being gone was sort of a blessing. See,
Oh! Startled me there. Dolph Ziggler made some totally necessary and not at all passive-aggressive comments about CM Punk, stating that he'd rather be wrestling in the WWE than sitting at home complaining on some podcast, because clearly that's all CM Punk is doing. It's not like he's training to take part in the UFC or something, or writing for various Marvel properties. No, he's just a bitch. Fuck you, CM Punk, you lazy bitch. Seriously, you're the laziest bastard I know, doing all those things that aren't wrestling. Then the Authority came out, led by Corporate Kane, who issued an ultimatum that each of the superstars in the ring had to wrestle to qualify to enter the Royal Rumble, and then subsequently qualify after qualifying to be in the main event at WrestleMania. If you ask me, Kane isn't qualified to be quantifying the quality of their qualifications. Dolph Ziggler wrestled with Bad News Barrett, the current holder of the Intercontinental title. Oh, thank God, I thought we'd lost it again. Dolph Ziggler took home the victory, firmly re-establishing his role as the guy who might potentially one day do something, maybe. Unfortunately for everyone, Roman Reigns decided to speak, and once again we find ourselves overwhelmed by his mild smugness. Other superstars may have smugness, but none of them are quite as mild as Roman Reigns. He's a mildly smug kind of guy. Backstage, Fandango shocked the world by existing, while Dean Ambrose craftily switched places with him in the Royal Rumble. This is significant, as it's the one and only time a human being has ever wanted to trade places with Fandango. Ryback tussled with Rusev for a while until he used the same exploit that I used in WWF No Mercy by dragging his opponent out of the ring, waiting for the 10 count, and then just jumping back in at the last second. Remember when we had halfway decent wrestling games? Remember when we had halfway decent wrestling? Women. Jerry Lawler nailed us with another classic zinger, saying that all marriages are happy. It's just the living together afterwards that's difficult. Luke Harper cut a promo from Vince McMahon's sex dungeon, telling us not to blink or the monsters will get you. I could make a Doctor Who reference right now, but I won't because I'm not an unoriginal twat. I'm an original twat. Goldust and Stardust were at odds, knowing that their entry into the Royal Rumble would mean they would have to face off against each other. And after my calculations, I believe that this is the 998th time they've teased the two of them splitting up. Be nice if it actually led to something this time. There I go again, getting my hopes up. Gotta stop doing that, really. The human vessel attached to Eric Rowan's beard took on Luke Harper's pit stains in a match that probably should have meant something, but instead it happened in the middle of Smackdown and was immediately forgotten about by everyone involved. Kane requested the use of J&J security in his no disqualification match against Daniel Bryan. You see, with it being a no DQ match, Kane needs all the help he can get. After all, it's not like he single-handedly almost broke Daniel Bryan's neck before or anything. That was some other guy called Kane. He was intimidating and wore a mask. I wonder what happened to him. Quick, someone check Bad News Barrett's waist. Backstage, the Usos give Mizdow a pep talk, reminding him that in the Royal Rumble he'll be able to kick the shit out of The Miz. I know whenever I'm feeling down, I like to think about kicking the shit out of The Miz. Very therapeutic. In the main event, Daniel Bryan ripped off John Cena by overcoming the odds and winning, ensuring his spot in the Royal Rumble. Then all kinds of heck broke loose, as dozens of superstars rushed into the ring and started violently rioting, presumably because they just learned that Cesaro was relegated to the Royal Rumble pre-show, and probably wasn't going to be on the pay-per-view at all. Well, them ams the slams for this week. Tune in early next week for a special edition of the Remark focused on the Royal Rumble. If my feet touch the floor at any point during the video, then the episode will just stop abruptly. Until next time, my fellow Marks, toodle pip.